So Arylic just released this 6.5-inch mid-bass driver on their website for purchase. And that's unusual because over the last 2 or 3 years, I've been using Arylic's products, which are mostly multi-room wireless streaming DIY boards in many of my projects. So I'll put some links to those videos in the description below, as well as the card top right, so go check those out. Not only that, they also have a 5-inch mid-bass woofer and also 2 AMT tweeters. Now, they've also released 2 bookshelf speaker models in which exactly these drivers are used. But like I say, you can also go onto their website and purchase these as individual pots so that you can design and build your own speakers. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to test these and see if they are any good. The first driver we're going to look at is this 6.5-inch mid-bass woofer. It's a steel chassis with the magnet on the back, or the motor structure, and I think it's about a 1-inch or slightly larger. It's about a 31 or 32 millimeter voice coil. It can handle about 60 watts of power. The cone is a woven glass fiber cone, and it's got this interesting sort of like S shape, which is supposed to help with eliminating breakup at the higher frequencies that this driver can produce. The 5-inch is very much similar to the 6.5-inch mid-bass woofer. Stamped steel frame, motor structure on the back with about a 32 millimeter voice coil diameter, and the same glass fiber cone. There are 2 AMT tweeters. This is a smaller one. It's about 68 millimeters across, and it has a solid 3 millimeter aluminium faceplate. This is a very small tweeter, and I would probably be quite wary to actually use this in something like a two-way system. This is something that you probably better mate with something like a full range driver, for example. But we'll test it and see how it performs. The second tweeter is much larger. This is a 90 millimeter faceplate across. It's a 4 millimeter thick solid aluminium faceplate. It's much larger, and it should be able to handle a lot more power, and we should be able to cross this over a lot lower than the smaller tweeter. Now, the quality of both the tweeters are really very, very good. With these thick aluminium faceplates, it really gives you a sense that they are well built, and I really like what I see here. I have no problems with these in terms of quality and feel. When it comes to the mid-bass driver, however, we have to remember these are stamped steel frames. They're not cast aluminium, and that doesn't mean it's necessarily a sub-rated driver. I've seen many steel frame drivers perform really, really well. A lot of that has to do with what cone material you're using, and what that frequency response actually looks like at the end of the day. So only testing will really tell us what the performance of these drivers will be like. We can't really judge it by the fact that they're on stamped steel frames. I ran a 24-hour burn-in cycle before measuring the TS parameters. The TS parameters were within 5% of the manufacturer's specifications on average, which is fairly good, not excellent, but certainly acceptable. I then mounted the drivers in a sealed test enclosure and measured on-axis response at 0 degrees and off-axis responses all the way through to 30 degrees at 10-degree intervals. So let's look at the results now, starting with the 6.5-inch mid-woofer. From the impedance plot, we see that the 6.5-inch driver resonant frequency is approximately 42 Hz, and that it is definitely a 4 ohm rated driver. This driver shows a very nice flat response in the mid to upper mid section up to 4000 Hz, where we see a breakup of the cone and possibly some baffle edge diffraction. Keep in mind that my measurements look very different than that of the manufacturer due to the fact that I'm not measuring on an infinite baffle but in a sealed enclosure, which I think gives us a better real world results anyway. Off-axis response is good up to 20 degrees, after which it seems to lose a few dBs across the mid-range. However, I think we should be able to cross this driver over ideally between 2000 and 3000 Hz and then keep the listening window within the 20 degrees limit. The distortion graph shows second order harmonics to be very well behaved at approximately 55 dB down. Third order harmonics seem a bit high in the mid-range, however it is still approximately 45 dB down and will be inaudible to most ears in my opinion. Next is the 5-inch woofer, and the resonant frequency is centered on 49 Hz on the impedance plot at a nominal 4 ohms. We still see a fairly flat mid and upper mid curve. A cone breakup this time is a bit higher at approximately 7500 Hz. Distortion in the second order harmonic is approximately 55 dB down and similar to that of the 6.5-inch woofer. We see the third order harmonics rise in the mid-range. It's down about 40 to 45 dB, so I still think it's acceptable. Starting with the larger of the two AMT tweeters, the AMT9, the impedance plot is flat and typical of an AMT tweeter. This is the same for the smaller tweeter as well. Frequency response is flat from 3000 to 8000 Hz, after which it rises and peaks at 17,000 Hz. This tweeter is specified to work way beyond 20,000 Hz, but my measurement does not cover this range. There's a peak at approximately 2700 Hz, but this could be an edge diffraction effect. Off-axis response is very good though, and at 30 degrees the rise in the response is tamed quite a bit. The distortion plot on this tweeter and the smaller one is very interesting though. It has rather high second and third order harmonic distortion from 1700 Hz upwards, and at 3000 Hz it drops to approximately 45 dB down, so I would definitely not want to cross this tweeter over lower than that. Whether this will add anything pleasant to the sound or not will remain to be seen when we can take a listen to these in a modeled speaker. The smaller AMT7 tweeter also has a good off-axis response graph. However, we can clearly see that you probably won't cross this over below 4 or 5000 Hz at least, which puts it out of the range of any of the two woofers we looked at in a typical two-way speaker system. The harmonic distortion is similar to the larger tweeter, and I have not tested an AMD tweeter before, so could this higher second harmonic distortion be a characteristic of a sweeter or warmer sounding tweeter? So I have the Arylic 6.5 in woofer, and I've dropped the response curve into XM. This is what that original response curve looks like, the red one. And I'm just going to see how easily we can get a nice smooth crossover on this particular driver. I'm just going to remove that original curve again. We don't need that right now. So looking at the green curve, what I have implemented here is a 0.7 millihenry coil and a 16 microfarad capacitor, and this gives us a second order filter on that driver. But I think we can get it a little bit more smooth. There's a peak between well, around about 2.5 Hertz, 2,500 Hertz. So I've included this resistor, and that just drops it down a little bit and makes that curve much smoother. But down here at the bottom we can still get it a little bit smoother. So I have this very small capacitor that's in parallel with the coil, and that just drops it down a little bit further, and we get a really nice smooth curve that I think will integrate really well with a tweeter. So looking at the tweeter, it's a little bit more complex. So let's just activate that. I'm going to remove the curve for the 6.5 inch driver. Right, so I managed to get it pretty smooth, but it took quite a few components. Here we actually have a third order a crossover that I've implemented, plus a parallel notch filter, which just dropping down that really high peak that we saw towards the end of the frequency range. So let's just bring in the original curve, And then you can see what I mean. So we had this rise at the end there, and we needed to knock that down, and that's what the parallel filter does. And then of course we have an L pad, because we've got quite a bit of a level difference between the original curve and the level of the woofer, so we need to equalize those with an L pad. Right, so just to give you an idea of what these filters do, if I just short this out, you'll see that's what that parallel notch filter does. It just knocks down that that top section. And then of course we have the L pad, and you can see when I activate that, that just drops down the level of the tweeter overall. Right, so let's bring in the woofer again. Of course, this is just in my test enclosure. It'll probably look a little bit different when I model this in an enclosure that's, you know, specifically and properly designed for these drivers. But that's what I got right there. I think it's looking pretty good. So looking at the 5-inch driver, we also have a second order crossover filter, and I've implemented the same resistor in series with the parallel capacitor, so that we can knock down this peak over here and just get a smoother curve. I'm just going to remove the original curve, unfiltered curve. There we go. Right, so there we can see just knocking that down. We've got a little bit of a lift on this side, so again I've got that capacitor in parallel with my coil, and that's what that does. So we get a really nice smooth curve when we do that. So again, very easy to work with this driver, a fairly standard second order crossover. Right, let's have a look at the tweeter. Again, it's the AMT9 tweeter. I'm not going to do a test, a crossover test with the AMT7. I just don't think that the AMT7 is suitable for a two-way system. So I'm not going to test that in the same way. But apart from just our component values that are a little bit different from the previous crossover that we did, it's more or less exactly the same. We do have quite a bit of a rise here at the top, but that's only from around 16 kilohertz, and I think most of us probably won't be able to hear that high anyway, but it will be interesting to see what that does when we model a crossover like this and listen to a speaker. The impedance is quite low, around 6.5 kilohertz at about 2.58, but there's not that much energy around this area normally, so that should be fairly safe for a typical 4 ohm amplifier, since this will be a nominal 4 ohm speaker. It's the same with the previous crossover that I showed. I don't think I actually mentioned what the impedance was on that one, but you can go back and have a look. I think it's just under 3 ohms, but they both more or less the same. So again, we get quite a nice little response curve here. If we look at if we invert the tweeter, we can see that we also get a nice integration between the two drivers, which is good to see. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching, and I really hope that you found some insight into the qualities of these Arylic drivers. You could make up your own minds, based on what I've showed you. My personal opinion is that I think Arylic has done a reasonable job of these drivers. These are stamped frames in terms of quality, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not good. I do like the glass fiber cones, and I think that it would be interesting to see how these are going to model in a properly designed enclosure specifically for these drivers, and then also with a matching crossover. And at the end of the day, it's all about, well, what do they sound like? So that'll be an interesting test. However, I will be modeling some projects around these drivers. So if you want to see those, then make sure that you subscribe so that you don't miss those projects that will come up in the near future. Price wise, we have the smaller AMT or Air-Motion tweeter, the AMT7, coming in at $50, and then we have its larger brother is $80. For the woofers, we have the 5-inch that comes in at $60, and we have the 6.5 is $70. Now I think in order to make these a little bit better value for money, you know, when you compare them to similar quality drivers that you get out there from other manufacturers, I do think that these prices are maybe a little bit inflated. I think if Arylic brought these prices down, maybe with about, you know, $10 or $15 per driver, I think they'll be a lot better value for money. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, guys, so thank you very much. Look out for these future projects around these drivers coming up. Yeah, if you want to support my channel further, please consider becoming a patron. I'll have all the files that I generated for this test for download on my Patreon page and YouTube membership page. And then also, you know, I do put a lot of behind the scenes content on my Patreon and YouTube membership pages. So go there, have a look, and if you want to support me further, you can do that there. Thank you so much, and until next time, adios.